Rods are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brains.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Ray. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremo.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day of not going to Dunkin' and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now here are your technically challenged hosts.
Welcome to BGFG episode. I have no idea what episode we're actually on. I think it's 441. 441. It's been a rough couple of days.
I was just listening to the intro, and I'm going to have to request that we take a piece of it out. It just finally dawned on me. I'll never say anything funnier than that whole bit about going to Dunkin' for a day.
Possibly even a new
It's
car.
like people are going to hear that. They're going to expect all this great comedic stuff from me. And it's like, no, that was it.
That peaked. He peaked.
That was, I was at the top of my game right then.
I'm your host, Chris Phoenix, and joining me, as always, my co-host.
27 years ago.
That peaked in 20 years ago, Fremo Z. How are you doing this week, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Fantastic.
That's outstanding. It's good to be fantastic. Yeah, so it's been an interesting week in a lot of different ways. Like, my new job is just, I don't know. Okay, keep paying me. That'll work.
It's an adjustment, right?
Yeah, it is an adjustment, absolutely. But this week, the way the stories kind of worked out this week on the show was a lot about, we do talk a lot about breaches and hacks and things like that, which we still do, but there is some light in the horizon on all fronts of almost everything we're going to talk about today. So I think we're getting out of that, and if you're old enough, especially Gen Xers, if you're old enough, you've seen the highs and lows, the ebbs of the tide. You've seen what we can accomplish. Berlin Wall coming down, the way everybody was united, to just disparity and disdain from the pandemic and directly after the pandemic. I think we're heading out of that now. I think we're getting to a better place. I think we're heading that direction. It's just tough to tell because of the stupid election that's coming up. Because you just don't know. You don't know what the fuck the future's going to hold at that point.
Man. I don't know. I really don't. I think that the division is so deep at this point, and the not quite hatred, because we haven't gotten to that point yet, but just the absolute disregard for anyone who thinks on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
I don't know that. And it's coming from both sides. There's people on both sides that refuse to have a dialogue.
Correct.
And once you can't sit down across the table from somebody and agree to disagree and then find a way to move forward, you're done.
Yeah, exactly.
You're done.
Exactly.
And we've got so many people on both sides that just refuse to sit down at the table and have a civil dialogue.
They don't. And when the shit starts coming out of like, I'm right, you're wrong, that's not acceptable. That's everybody has, you know what? We're going to get into that way too deeply.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we always say we weren't going to do.
Leave it at that.
Yeah. So let's just get into this week's news and get on with it.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So first up in this week's news, so the feds are saying, and this is the federal government, the feds are saying that Microsoft needs an overhaul. And Fremo and I would be the first people to do it. But unfortunately, they're not talking about the operating system or anything else that Microsoft touches and cancels immediately. And we're not talking about overhaul from Chip Foose either, which is a wonderful show, and he makes beautiful vehicles. You should check that out. But the Department of Homeland Services recently came out and slammed Microsoft for what they call a cascade of avoidable errors. again, reading the article initially, I'm like, you must be talking about the operating system.
Right.
Or the server, or there's so many things that could be done better. This all goes back, though, to when Microsoft Security allowed Chinese hackers into the accounts of government officials. Now, they always say that line, and I can only assume that they're roughly talking about like Outlook access and Exchange server, and not necessarily Teams, but like that type of back end stuff. I'm thinking, what do you?
Yeah.
I would be right, correct? Because you're in it a little bit deeper than I am.
That would be the normal point of entry against Microsoft. Yeah.
Yeah, and they keep using this like business speak and passive accusations and stuff. Microsoft never really kind of owns up to anything. They never have, and they never will. It's just not something that they do. But this time, the Department of Homeland Security just pulled no punches with the stuff that they were saying.
Yeah.
They said it's getting so bad that Microsoft isn't even trying, and they're just letting customers alert them to the possible breaches that are happening on their systems. Which is why, I mean, I've told my customers hundreds of thousands of times that we're not working with Outlook because it is a dumpster fire right now, the standalone application. Because once they decided they were going to go all in on the web version of their 365 product and have Outlook live there, they just didn't give a crap about what was in the original Outlook desktop app, which is so unbelievably bloated at this point. I don't know one business, I really don't know one business that uses all the features of Outlook. A lot of times they'll use the calendar aspect, and now you integrate it with Teams, and that's it. You know, you have read notifications in the mail, you have folders, things like that. But outside of that, there is hundreds of thousands of things that Outlook can't perform. It's just outdated, or nobody uses them. So now they go to the web version, which is extremely slimmed down. And honestly, it works better.
It does, but this particular hack, I really don't know how you could have avoided it, other than, I mean, because it all started with this hacker group getting a hold of one of their encryption keys that nobody should have access to.
Right.
So where they got that from, I don't know. But
this again, let our
and then
listeners know.
Nobody will elucidate on that. All they say is, yeah, they got a hold of this encryption key.
Yeah, last fall. It was last May, Free, that they said that they found the problem. But when they were pressed this year, they said that they actually still didn't really know where it derived from or where the leak happened. They know what it was, an encryption key. They know when, last May, but they don't know how they can. And that usually loosely translates, correct me if I'm wrong, that Microsoft has no intention of fixing it. Like, they're like, yeah, that's in the past. We moved on. We're not going to bother with it. That, like Fremo alluded to, the hacking group circumvented some of the systems.
I mean, did they reverse engineer Microsoft's encryption protocols, and now it doesn't matter? They can generate keys anytime they need? Did someone on a business trip get drunk and be like, yeah, I got access to those? No, you don't. Yeah, I do. Prove it. You know what I'm saying?
I would not be surprised. You missed last week's show, but I covered that in last week's show where it was an encryption problem. Like, how did you get access to this?
Yeah.
So Microsoft still hasn't taken any responsibility of it. Surprise, surprise, for any hacks, past or present. And it doesn't look like they're going to do that anytime soon, which is really shitty in my opinion.
Well,
but
not that it's feasible, but if the government wants this to change wants Microsoft to make these changes, all they've got to do is decide to go with a different operating system. Just announced that starting in 2028, we're going to be migrating all of our systems from Microsoft-based OS to, whatever.
Linux. It has to be Linux.
Ooh.
Not only do they own the Linux distribution, but it's perfectly feasible to do the Linux thing. So, but I think the government is really one to talk on this situation.
I'll be right back.
Yeah. I think this is really weird because the government is saying, the Department of Homeland Security is saying how bad Microsoft is. Yet just recently, hackers just stole a bunch of Social Security numbers, which is the one thing we've said on the show numerous times that you cannot lose. So hackers stole a bunch of Social Security numbers, about 340,000 of Social Security numbers to be exact. And it's from a U.S. consulting firm, Greylock McKinnon Associates. They disclosed that they had a breach. So again, here's another issue where it's the federal government pointing fingers at Microsoft. And we're not defending Microsoft. We're just saying they're pointing fingers, yet they had their own systems breached because of a third party. Like, they have to stop giving vendors and third parties so much access to things. This particular attack took place in May of last year. Again, May had a lot of hacks that nobody disclosed.
Yeah.
And GMA provides economic...
I've been actually actively putting my social out on the dark web.
You're so full of shit.
With the offer that if anybody can figure out how to get more money using it, I'll split it with them.
That's fucking brilliant. That is brilliant right there.
I won't turn you in. We'll split it 50-50.
It'll be good. This company, this third-party company, provides economic and litigation support to companies and U.S. agencies. And they did reach out to individuals that were affected and explained that it was personal data and Medicare information. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. The two most vital things that I just don't want ever to appear on the dark web, you just did. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. But again, it's the pot calling the kettle black. You can't point, if you're the government, you can't point at Microsoft's misses and not count your own. You know, again, a problem.
Yeah.
This seems to be an... Go ahead, try to rationalize it.
Let's just not even. Don't get me started on governmental ineptitude.
Right.
We'll just yes, it's there, it exists. Hopefully one day it changes. Let's move on.
Moving on.
We ain't got time to start me out on that one.
On a good note, though, Free, a comprehensive online bill is about to pass, or hopefully going to pass. The House Energy and Commerce Committee and the Senate Commerce Committee introduced a comprehensive federal protection standard against sharing data. Now, if this goes through, this is going to be wonderful. If it goes through, hold on.
If it goes through as is? No, I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
Preventing third parties?
No, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with the majority of it. There's one little thing that they slid in there that I just, no.
Well, hold on.
It's a deal breaker for me.
Okay, let me explain the rest of this to the listeners, and then you tell me that it was probably something I just didn't see or didn't catch on to. But the latest problem basically is when companies like Netflix allegedly give programmatic access to Facebook direct messages. I know that sounds weird, but all of this is designed to shed more light on what third party does with your data and even requiring your permission. Now, we've said in the show so many damn times that you are accepting that EULA for the company, say, Framework laptops that we endorse here. You're accepting that EULA for them, and you're expecting them to take responsibility of who they're sharing their information with. Now, on the bad side, you've had Facebook hand information right over to Cambridge Analytica, but yet Framework is just Framework, and they're just trying to make a buck and provide a good computer system, and they have third parties that are like, hey, if you give us some of that data, we'll target those audiences with our data to sell you more laptops. And they were like, well, shit, yeah, why not? I want to sell more. But in that case of Framework, which is the example we're giving you, their third-party vendor was compromised, which gave access to a lot of stuff on Framework's back end. That's where the problem lies. And now you're creating a bill, hopefully, that's going to stop that third party or those vendors from having as much access. Which, again, I wanted to get you on with this because as two of us that are in the field at different levels, it's amazing to me that you don't lock out what these vendors are given. Like, you could sit there and say, every quarter we're going to give you a list of our most recent acquisitions, and you can target them for, medical devices or whatever you're selling. That's one thing to do. To give them access to your servers, to your network, I think is a whole nother issue.
Yeah, because they're in there data scrubbing.
Exactly. So what was the point that you were going to make? Deep breath.
I wanna make sure that I get this exactly right. Let me find it again. Da, 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 da.
Is it a point on?
Oh, go away! All these pop-ups.
I mean, you can't not agree with the fact that we need legislation to stop and prevent third parties, right?
Yeah, no, I like I said, I have no problem with that part of it.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. It includes provisions on what data companies can collect and use, fine, and allows individuals to sue these companies for violating their privacy rights.
Okay. What problem do you have with that?
I don't think you should be able to sue if you clicked on the EULA and didn't read it. That's ignorance on your part.
But all the EULAs say the same thing, though, Free. They say we're going to share your information, this, and
exactly,
this.
But you agreed to it.
But if you don't, this is the catch-22, that if you don't agree with it, you can't use that website or that service.
Oh, well. Make an informed decision and live with the consequences.
Okay.
Period.
I see your point.
Now, if they do with this bill what needs to be done, then there shouldn't be a need for people to sue anyway. If they fix this the right way, then there won't be a need for it anyway.
Okay.
But you really, you want to. This is literally just allowing ignorance to continue to
all right,
grow
I see your point now. Yeah, I see your point now.
So if you want to use someone's product, then you should be accountable for the consequences of that decision.
Right.
Now, on the flip side, do they maybe you require, not only does the EULA pop up with a accept button, but the EULA pops up, you hit accept, and then it goes into the privacy controls
where you're going. Keep going.
You can continue.
Yep.
Like, this is what we do with our data. You can opt out of any of these and, click, unclick, whatever, before you can use it. Force them,
I would rather see, and I agree with you.
Force the user to actually, if you've got to go through 60 individual checkbox, click one before you can go to the next one. You're
making the decision.
Yeah.
I would even take it
a
step
it's even
farther.
more evident at that point that, maybe you didn't read it. Maybe you just went click, 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 click,
right.
click.
And
that's on you.
And I agree with you, but what's going to happen, unfortunately, is you're going to have those 12 different checkboxes. There's going to be a big old button at the bottom that says select all, because about 3 into it, somebody's going to get annoyed. And I agree with you, because you're shaking your head like, hey, that's your own problem. And I agree with you on that. It is their problem.
Don't have a select all.
I don't disagree with you.
I mean, I got to sit through training classes that I have no desire to be a part of, the ideology that's being pushed, but I have to sit through it. And at the end, I have to decide, do I click that I watch this so I can keep my job, or do I refuse?
I would take it a step further. I mean,
we all make choices every day that we don't like sometimes.
But in this particular case,
and you have to live with it.
I would take it a step further. I would do it where not only at the end of the EULA, like you said, have another pop-up, but what I would do is I would have it say, what information would you like us to share? Like if I'm signing up for a website, I'm using my stage name, my personality, right? If I'm buying something, I'm using my person name, right? We talked on the show for years about separating the person from the personality. Freemo's legal name is not Freemo Z. As much as he might want it, it's not his legal name.
It's Gronos.
Which is a whole nother story, people. Let me tell you. That's a whole nother fucking story. But online, everything that you find about me online is Chris Phoenix. Everything you find about Freemo online is Freemo Z. That's our online personas, I guess you could say. And we started that way 20, 25 years ago. We don't use our real name. Can you find it? Sure you can. But when I'm subscribing to some of these sites, like say Elgato, I love Elgato. Elgato doesn't have my real name. Hell no. They definitely don't have my real name. They have my online name. So if I have that pop-up that comes up after the EULA and it says, what would you like to share? I want to share Chris Phoenix, my name. I want to share bgfgonline@gmail.com for my email. That's it. That's all I want to share. That should suffice getting me into the website or getting me access to that app. That's what I would like to see. Now, I don't disagree with what you're saying. Check the boxes. Would you like, and if you hit customize on some of the better and larger websites, you do have those options. And when you look at those, and people don't, Free, and you're 100% right, people don't. But if you look at those choices, there is shit, third parties, vendors. No, I don't even know who those people are. Why would I want to share information with them?
Yeah.
And the problem is, like Freeman was alluding to before, the problem is that those EULAs still don't explain what information is being brought out there.
Everything should be an opt-in, period.
Agree, but they're not even saying what's an opt-in or an opt-out. They're just saying your information. Well, what information? Is it my street address? Is it my telephone number? What information? At least Apple on their platform, especially their iOS platform, gives you those options. I don't want to share A, B, and C, but I'll share, D and E with them. So it gives you those options to do that, which I think is nice. But you have to go in and dig into it. What? You had an epiphany.
Yeah, hit pause before I lose this. Hit pause on the broadcast.
Okay, it's just recording.
A few moments later.
All right, we're back, and I'm glad we didn't record that because Freeman's an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about government mandates because I think they're kind of funny this week in a weird way. The Motion Picture Association of America, one of our favorite people out besides the recording industry, is the Motion Picture Association, because they literally have, for a decade or two, have had their heads inserted directly into their asses, just completely and wholeheartedly. Like, why would you stop people from enjoying the entertainment? Whether it's music or movies, why would you stop people from doing that? Why do you have to make it so unbelievably difficult to do? They just recently revealed the plan that they'll be working with. And again, I want to say, we don't like the MPAA. We don't. They're just, but they did reveal a plan that they'll be working on with Congress to establish a site blocking legislation. Most other countries have this in the world already and in use, but not in the U.S. Why? Because of bureaucracy and greed, as we've pointed out on the show numerous times. But now, if passed, film, television, music, books, sports, and broadcasters will be able to ask ISPs to block certain websites. And you might be wondering, what are you talking about, Chris? That doesn't happen. You and Fremo are, no. What we're talking about is that buddy that you have that tells you, like, hey, you want to come over and watch the WrestleMania? Hey, you want to come over and watch UFC 102? You want to? Oh no, I'm going to stay home. I got it. I got a USB stick from my guy at work. It gives me all the channels for free, all the latest movies for free, and all the pay-per-views for free. And I explained to numerous people, including people in my family, where I'm like, look, I get it. Let me explain to you real quickly how it works. Somebody pirates all that shit, puts it on their website, right? Puts it on their website so that they can distribute it, whether paid or not. And then as soon as that website gets taken down, and it's just a URL, people, it's not like an official. Like, we take pride in bgfgonline.com. We take pride in that. But let's say it was just redirected and the DNS server was like brownchickenandcow.com, and it just redirected. I can make 100 of those sites brownchicken.com and just redirect it to my main site. That original site gets blocked. All they do is launch a new website URL, update your USB drive, and they still have access to it. It's been a never-ending circle that happens. Your channel on your USB stick might be down for like 24 hours while that developer puts up a new link. That's all that is. You're not reinventing the wheel. And now we're going to have legislation that says that that's going to be illegal. And what can happen, which I think is really nice, is that the ISPs, or say as we well know, the MPAA in the record industry. My God, I've got more DMC takedown notices for different shit. Our YouTube videos get blocked every time. We're about to hit music that's really good. I guarantee you, if you're watching this video on YouTube, you're not going to see this video. You're going to have to You're going to have to run over to YouTube and watch the video, then come back to the show because it's going to get pulled down for copyright violation. If you listen to the podcast, you'll be able to hear it fine. But everything else is going to be blocked. And I don't even want to go into how I make that happen, but let's just say it happens right now. For now, our audio podcast is not getting blocked. But the fact that you can stop these people, I really hate that shit. Like, that bothers me a lot. And I know it shouldn't, Free, but the MPAA and the record industry I think, no, because music needs to get out there and it soothes the soul. And, you know, we break a lot of music on the show that you might never have heard before, and that gets you. Like, I've never contacted a band ever in my life. In the 20-something years that we've been doing the show, I have never contacted a band and had them say, no, don't play my music. Ever. Because as a person that's been in a band before, all I want is publicity. I want you to get my music out there. I want to get, you know, when I tour the Northeast or the Southeast, I want Fremo and Phoenix's friends to come see my show because they heard it on their podcast. So there's no such thing as bad publicity. But the record industry and the Motion Picture Association of America want their money. They want their money bad. You're going to tell me that Avengers making all of that money, billions of dollars, opening weekend alone, that's not even talking about residuals. You're going to tell me that me playing that 35-second clip of something funny that happened on an Avengers movie is costing you money? You're out of your mind. So, but the thing that pisses me off is when these people with these USB sticks, like, I pay for cable. I don't pay for Netflix. I pay for Hulu. I pay for Discovery Plus. I'm paying for those to get the rights to that. And when you don't give them the money, they can't survive. It's basic business. So if you continue to steal this programming, I get it. You can't afford it. Okay, we'll group up with other people. When Fremo and I were younger, when Gen X was younger, and we wanted to watch a wrestling pay-per-view, you had 5 or 6 people that came over and it all dished in $5 to pay the cost of that pay-per-view. UFC. Dude,
funny story.
Tyson, wait. Tyson's boxing events. You had people come over. That shit was like $100, and you had people come over giving you $20 that lasted a round. And you looked at these people, and they were legitimately pissed. Go. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, that's exactly what I was going to talk about. Was the one that he ended it like in 9 seconds in the first round.
My God! I was giving money back.
I get there, and they're like. And of course, this is pre-cell phone, so you can't let somebody know to pick something up on the way. Once they've left the house, it's over with. So I get there, and they're like, "Hey, man, would you mind running back and getting, blah, 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 whatever it was?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem," because the corner store is literally like 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
Boom, I run in. I don't even wait for change, right? I'm like,
keep it.
It was like 2 bags of ice or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just threw it on the counter, and I was like, gotta go, keep the change, jump back in the car. I get back and it's like over.
What do you mean I missed it?
And I'm like,
there's no DVRs. I can't back that shit up.
I was like, what do you mean it's over? I was like, it's literally like 2 after, it started at 3 o'clock or whatever. And it wasn't even like 2 after, and I'm like, they're like, yeah, he knocked him out like in 9 seconds. I was like,
yeah. Guess what? That's the price of it, people. So again, I appreciate the MPAA for stopping this because I think it's a big problem. I think that is legit a big problem.
Yeah.
But I'm still on the fence, and Fremont and I both on the fence, both of the belief, and I will speak for you on this one, of like a DVD. We grew up with DVDs in the early days of DVDs for my kids, okay? I just spent $60 on that Cinderella DVD. Don't even slip and think that I'm now making a copy of that because I'm not going out and spending another $60 when my daughter tries to put that when I'm not looking into the VCR. Like, no, I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to put it digitally or make a ripped version of it and play it. I'm not out there on the street corner selling it, and you think that everybody is, and that's wrong. The record industry thinks that everybody's trying to make a buck. Oh, I'm doing a whole concert for Fear of the Doubt and I'm not giving them any money. That's not it at all. I'm putting their song on my podcast so that hopefully somebody sees them and goes, oh, dude, I heard that on the podcast. Let me go check out that band. Because I can tell you that the radio station around here that plays rock and roll hasn't played anything new, and I swear to God, for about 5 years. I had to listen to it on the way today because I didn't, my Bluetooth wasn't working right. So I had to listen to the local rock radio station, and I heard the same shit that I heard last time I listened to it, which was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. Their playlist was the exact same thing. It was Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, throw in some classic Metallica, not even new Metallica, classic Metallica, and Journey.
Probably heard at least an AC/DC song.
Exactly. In an hour, you will hear an AC/DC song. Because you haven't changed, because there's no reason for you to change. And these people I see every once in a while in my small, tiny state, I'll come across somebody, dude, I love HJY. Best channel ever. Okay. I love your mullet too, dude. Like, some people just aren't going to change.
Easy.
I'm just saying. All right, let's get into this week's music. Speaking of mullets.
Wait, before we go to music.
Yeah.
We were talking about the whole people getting to sue thing and how it could turn into a ridiculous situation.
Yeah.
You're aware that in specifically San Francisco, that California as a whole, that they don't prosecute shoplifting under $950 anymore?
I don't like to talk about California because, number one, I believe in Bill Hicks, that someday a comet will fall from the sky and take away. Yes, people. Yes, for those of you that just listened to Tool, that song is from a comedian, almost verbatim. But yeah, California is a whole nother level. I don't talk about them because some of the shit that they do.
Listen to this.
All right.
In San Francisco,
yep,
they are trying to pass the Grocery Protection Act, which will allow every person that uses that store to sue the grocery store if they choose to close and pull out of the community.
Oh my God. You know, we're going to get into that later on in the show.
So I can't close the doors and leave, but I'm also losing money hand over fist because every single person can walk in there every single day and take $949.49 worth of stuff off my shelves, and it'll never get prosecuted.
That is literally the worst.
Bullshit.
That is awful. Awful. And we're gonna expound upon that in the For What It's Worth segment at the end of the show today, because there is something else that happened like that, and I want to let you in on another little secret that I probably shouldn't have, but I'm kind of done. Anyway, let's get to this week's music. So this week's music, we're starting our summer of covers. We're gonna do it again this year. It's gonna be difficult because I picked some good covers last summer, so it's gonna.
We hadn't even officially.
What?
Well, I guess we are in spring, but. You want to start it this early?
Why not? It's a good feeling. Let's make people happy. Do the songs that they've come to know and love. Now, there's going to be a couple of songs that you did hear last year that you might hear this year because A, I'm too lazy to look it up last year, and B, it was just a good cover. Like this one.
All right.
This one this week is from a classic band called Clutch. Now,
unfortunately, so many people don't know Clutch. They got so underplayed in their heyday.
Yes, they did.
But you want to talk about a hard-hitting, just great show to go see.
Yep. I went to one.
I've saw them a couple times. This little place down here. I mean, it's not a big venue. I mean, you're literally talking, if you packed it out, maybe 500 people. And that would be, like, can't move.
Yeah. And it's a great band. It's a four-man band. And it's funny because the band looks like they're playing in a garage after work in the suburbs that you just drove by. And you were like, dude, what are they doing? Like, they don't look like rock stars, which is the stuff that Fremo and I love the most. When you're just, like, it looks like they literally will feel comfortable in a... What? You taking a phone call?
I'll let him know.
What?
Okay.
What?
That was the 90s. They want their shirt back.
Oh, man. There's nothing wrong with my shirt. Look at that. STP, baby.
No, not the T-shirt.
This is
not the T-shirt.
Really? Look, this is from the Phoenix Media Group Spring Collection. Okay, just want you to know that. Rock and roll T-shirt. Shut the fuck up, douche. You're such a dick. I hate you so much. I don't even care if you're right. All right, so
let's get into some Clutch, man.
This is Clutch doing a cover of "Fortunate Son," which is a great tune, and they really bring it. And we'll catch you on the other side for some stick style news, and we'll expound upon what Fremo said earlier. Here you go. Come back. That was "Fortunate Son" by Clutch. Clutch has been around a while. Check out Clutch. See what they think. See what they think. See if this is the music that you like. And yeah, I don't have enough good things to say about Clutch. So, again, before we get into our stick style segment, we always talk about what we're drinking this week. And again, it's getting nice and warmer. So I'm going with the Modelo Especial. Why are you shaking your head again? Why? You're muted. Nope, still muted. Nope, still muted.
Yeah, I was shaking my head because of what I got stuck with today.
Oh, what'd you get stuck with?
Well, we had lots of people over yesterday, and some stuck around longer than others, and
they left some.
So
stuff?
This is that's what took me so long. I was digging through the fridge trying to find one of my beverages, which apparently were all consumed yesterday, and I didn't know. So here we go.
Oh God, please don't be. What the? Oh my God. Oh, God bless you. God bless you. How'd that taste? How'd that go down? That's awful.
I can't believe people drink this stuff.
How do people drink White Claw?
It's literally tonic water with bad flavoring. Like it doesn't cut through the tonic water flavor at all. Like that's why you put gin in tonic water. Gin tastes horrible, but not as bad as tonic water. So you put the gin in there to
soften it up.
Mask the tonic water.
Well, I'll have a sip for you there, buddy. Okay. Oh my gosh, I feel so
we're just gonna do this. We're just gonna get it over with. I'm not gonna enjoy this.
Gaming.
Your face is the best on that.
People tell me that beer doesn't taste good, and they drink this.
So first up in this week's stick style news, we have a game close to our hearts that we always tell you about, Forza Motorsport. Again, we brought back Cat and Mouse, and now they just did an update. Forza Motorsport 7 update. It's not for Motorsport 7; it's their 7th update. And this time they added Brands Hatch, which is always a nice. Brands Hatch is a track outside of London that's got a huge history, including like hosting the British Grand Prix. Great track, highs, lows, elevation changes, straightaways into 90 degrees. Well, I think it's a 90 degree.
Oh my God. I've tasted battery acid better than that.
The fact that you tasted battery acid. They're also giving you 3 cars from the Car Pass, which are all legitimate race cars with their livers. The update also decreases the file size of the install by 25 gigabytes, which is huge because that game is gigantic. And it fixes some of the proximity arrows and the PC audio settings. So that's a good thing.
You want to get a Gen Xer to talk.
Yeah.
Okay. If shit goes sideways and this becomes a war between generations.
Okay.
If you manage to capture a Gen Xer, you're not going to get them to talk. Okay. You can smash their knees with a friggin' sledgehammer. You can pull their fingernails off. You can waterboard us, whatever. You ain't getting nothing out of us.
Nope.
Tell us this is all we get to drink. We're going to sing like a friggin' songbird.
You have your choice, Mr. Fremo Z. The White Claw or a Modelo. If you pick the Modelo, if you tell us what we want to know.
We're going to make you drink battery acid. Bring it home. Here's a White Claw. No, please. No. Anything but a White Claw. That was horrific.
So download the update for Forza Motorsport. Get yourself brand hatch. Run that track. It's a good track, especially if you're a car person. That's the way to go. Forza Motorsport, in my opinion. Moving on to the next topic. In other news, other classic news. A classic is back. City of Heroes is back. Now, you might be one that played it. I wasn't. I appreciated it, but I just never got into it. It was something that was going to take too much of my time at the point in my life. But it is one of gaming's greatest MMOs. It's kind of like City of Heroes. I wanted to play, but I couldn't. The same way I could not play Star Wars Galaxies. I'm a gigantic Star Wars fan, and my wife used to say, she's like, "Why don't you play that game? It looks so good." Because you will lose me as a husband. I will literally be playing on this shit all the time, like every waking moment. A Star Wars game. This game is very similar to that. It's an MMO, and it's a very good game. The game was shut down almost a year ago, and the reason why it was shut down earlier than that, but people were playing that game until the servers were actually shut off. Like, there's videos you can watch of people literally sitting in the center of a city, doing their favorite poses or whatever with their heroes, and the server shutting down. Like, you can see people disappearing on the screen as the servers are shutting down, which I thought was very cool. As a person that loves games, to be there right till the end, which was great. Even after that, there was a small group that ran an underground server for about 6 years, which was really cool. Until some douche canoe, as always, ruins it by putting it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, you ruined it. And it was called Score, the secret cabal of reverse engineers. That's how they got it to run. Now, Freeman and I have been playing with that idea forever with a couple of other games. And here's the light at the end of the tunnel. City of Heroes Homecoming is now the authorized fan-run server. NCSoft has issued a non-commercial license for these people to run that server on their own. Now, NCSoft does not have anything to do with it. You break something, that's on you. Something doesn't work, you need to fix it. But I think it's pretty cool that is now allowed. They're not getting any kickback. They're just saying, yeah, you could do that.
Yeah,
which I think is huge.
I mean, and they've got restrictions in place, obviously, as to what they can and can't do. Sure. Because it is still their game,
their property,
that they, their intellectual property. So, but this gives me hope.
Yeah, we might be able to get Blur back. I mean, I love PGR and everything, but I think Blur is where it's at. If I had to pick out of the two, I'd focus more on Blur personally. I think Blur was not a better game, but it was a more fun game that can engage more people. Well,
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I could throw a PGR2 server up for just some straight cat and mouse with the boys, I'd do it.
Yeah.
But if I was looking for a wider audience of something to resurrect, Blur would be it.
Agreed. Blur's, if for those who don't know, you can look up a video on it. Not only was the intro phenomenal, but it was basically not cat and mouse. It was Mario Kart for adults. It really was. And it was so much fun, and it looked so good. Even when you look at it today, you still go, wow, that fucking looked good. So they definitely knew. And of course, I just want to add, Microsoft bought Bizarre Creations, which created Blur and Project Gotham, and said, oh, everything's going to be great. We're going to continue to develop for this. And then shut everything down. I hate you, Microsoft. But with the latest commitment from Microsoft, I don't know, Free, that it could work out.
Well, I mean, I just wish Microsoft does a great job with keeping their catalog moving forward.
Yep.
With the backwards compatibility. I just wish they would expand what they decide to make backwards compatible.
Well, they just recently said that they are definitely committed to backwards compatibility, and I agree with you. If you own the IP for Bizarre Creations. You own it, Microsoft. Why are these not automatically backwards compatibility or backwards compatible? Why are they not? You own. It's not like you have to go through litigation or anything else. You already own the IP.
Yeah.
Just make them. But they did say they're committed to the digital lifestyle. They're calling it game preservation, and they're all in. With that, they did say that well, I mean, with that said, they're about to close the 360 marketplace, which can affect a lot. This can cause many older games not even to work anymore.
Yeah.
There's still 220 games in the catalog that are not backwards compatible. Why do I keep saying that? They're not backwards compatible. Some of those are like Blur. Blur's not backwards compatible. Telltale series Batman and Wolf Among Us. I don't know if you ever played the Telltale series, but the wife and I played that sitting together, and they're phenomenal. We're still waiting for Wolf Among Us too, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But they had a Batman one as well. Burnout Crash, many more games are all on the cusp of being deleted forever, for lack of a better term, where you can't play them. Let's not forget that Xbox has already said that they're looking to do away with the disk drive. I can't tell you. I am looking at my Halo Edition Xbox Series X with a Starfield wrap around it, and I can't tell you the last time I used the disc on that. There's just no reason to. Some of the older games, again, backwards compatibility games. Upstairs in the Xbox computer system, I have drawers full of older games. I have at least 5 copies of Shadowrun. At least 5 copies, so that everybody can play it. If we get snowed in or something like that, we can pop that on everything and play it. Freebo's got one right there. It's just it's one of those things that we really need to do. And if you're doing away with disk drives, this is going to be a problem. Let's keep hope alive, and maybe we'll get Blur. Let's hope
that or emulators, one of the two.
Well, that's another thing, is that it's getting pretty cool in the gaming industry when the emulators are starting to come about. Even Apple has caved to the emulators. You know, Apple's one of those firm people in the arcade where people have said arcade is dying because they don't have a lot of games. They're not pushing a lot of games. There are a lot of passive games. Shit, I play, what the hell is it? I gotta look it up now. Holy crap. Royal Match. I do play that game. I'm at like level 6,000. I do play that game. You laugh, but it's like one of those lunchtime games. I got to work a little too early games. I mean, the doctor's office games. But Apple is now officially allowing game emulators. And that's Apple opening up the arcade and the game store to emulators. And that's never been done. Now, we've talked in the show previously about how Apple has allowed remote access clients on the App Store, which Freebo and I immediately went, oh, no, don't do You are asking for trouble. But they are allowing that now. And now they're going to allow game emulators. And they're going to allow those emulators to download the games for the emulators on their own. Now, Apple did warn the developers that they are responsible for what they offer in their apps. So if someone pisses off Nintendo, Apple's not paying your fine. The developer's going to pay that fine or shut down the app and the emulator itself. And a lot of this comes from the EU ruling, allowing sideloading, which we've talked about, 2 or 3 shows ago, where Freebo and I both went on record saying that is not a good idea. That is the only fault with the Android operating system. The only fault with that operating system is that it allows sideloading, which allows malware and viruses to get into that phone, and it's compromised, where Apple does not. And as your listener of the show, you know that Freebo and I are dead set against each other on that. I prefer, though lately I can go 50-50 on the Apple operating system versus the Windows operating system. I'm 50-50 on that because I think 11's solid. But we are definitively different on our mobile phone options. I love the Apple ecosystem and iOS. And Freebo loves his Android-based phones, who makes the best hardware on that with that latest Android operating system. So we defer on that, but at the same time, we both agree that sideloading is not a good idea. And unfortunately, on Freebo's side, you have the Google Play Store, which has no fucking... I don't even know if anybody's working there. Like, do you just submit shit and it just gets approved? Like, I don't even know if that's a thing. Like Apple's approval process is quite hard in a lot of cases. There's things that have slipped through, no doubt.
Yeah,
but for the most part,
you'll get no pushback on me on that. I mean, I think Apple does their store way better than Android all day long. But the fact that I can only do what Apple's universe wants me to do is a deal breaker. So
I don't disagree with you. I see your point on all of that. We've talked at length about that, and I agree with you. But even like I had a lady come in the other day that had an app on her phone that she oh no, it was a parental control app on her Android device, right? And the developer's gone. How many times have we talked on the show about how developers get their money, and then once the money plateaus or starts to dip a little, they bail. You're not getting it. And this is the problem. And look, people, we can go on a tangent, but this is a problem around the industry. Even stuff that Fremo and I use in our day jobs, like, oh, how come we can't upgrade? Oh, the developer's not around anymore. We can't upgrade that product. We use that product every day. Okay, find a new product. Oh, we can't do that. And I agree with we understand. Fremo and I understand why you can't, because it's across your entire company. You can't just upheave everything. But the developer went, I got my cash, I'm out. And the same thing happens with the game developers. Look at what the fuck was that run? Something run where you run down a pathway and you pick left or right every time. Oh shit, I can't remember it.
Treasure something.
It was
Treasure
a runner,
Hunter.
something like that. But it was a runner game, and it got huge, and it peaked, and then they started selling the IP where you could have Star Wars version, Smurf version, whatever movie was out recently. It would be that version of the game, but the game was underlying the same game, and then it started to decline. They started dropping ads. We know the methodology. The game drops. It gets popular. It rises. Then it plateaus. Then they decide to go, let's sell the IP or manipulate the IP so that we can add other products and other IPs in there. Star Wars, Among Us, Fortnite. They add all these other things. Then it rises a little bit more. Then it plateaus again. Once it starts declining, they go, let's inject some ads and promote our other software that we have that we're developing. And then when that dies, it's just a shit show at that point. They sell it to other advertisers, and you have your running game that now becomes click to continue, click to continue, click to continue, and you have to bypass ads. Apple just stopped kind of all of that happening because they're like, here's the emulator. You can download whatever game you want for the emulator. And as you can see in the picture that we put on the video, you know, that's clearly a Nintendo controller on the bottom half of your app and then a Mario at the top. Now, will Nintendo come out of nowhere and just sue the shit out of them? Yeah, there's a good possibility of that. There's a very good possibility of that. But we also have the access that we're going to have like Atari games, which Atari doesn't give a shit what you're doing. They already realize that their console.
They're just happy. They're just happy every time the word Atari is said out loud again.
Sega's the same way too, right?
Yeah.
Like Sega's just happy that you're talking about something other than Sonic. So with this, Apple has just, I think, stopped a lot of gamers from jailbreaking their iPhones and side-loading stuff that we've talked about was a bad idea. It's constantly a bad idea, and I think the emulator is going to, and I'm looking forward to talking about it on the show because I plan on downloading a couple of emulators and seeing what happens. And finally this week, in stick style, I have found the perfect keyboard free. Honest to God, I have found the perfect keyboard, and I shit you not. I am so excited.
I've been looking at it for the last couple minutes.
I am so excited to talk about this. This is my opinion. I want to say that now, but you've seen enough unboxings on stick style and on BGFG, maybe not BGFG, more on stick style, that Fremo and I are very particular on what we like, what we don't like. We appreciate the stuff that's trying to come out and are innovative, but shit that works is shit that works, okay? I have multiple Xbox controllers of different looks. You can see it behind me. I have a bunch because the concept works. Keyboards have been the same way. And for years, I've been using the Corsair K70 RGB TKL. TKL stands for 10 keyless. And this is the one I've been using for, God, a decade? No, it can't be a decade. But this is the one, the Corsair one that I've been using. Has some media keys on the top. Your basic keyboard. It lit up. Now, you're seeing the keys are gray, and that's because I swapped out the keypads. It's a wired controller. It's worked out great. Like I have no complaints about it. I replaced the keycaps to put in dark keycaps with a backlit, and I put additional O-rings on there. Again, total cost probably $25. Time-wise, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour to replace the keycaps and do the O-rings at the same time and make it a little bit quieter. Because I like that quiet keyboard. Now, my youngest son has been using a 60% custom keyboard, and I like it. The 60% is too small for me, but you'll see it on a lot of YouTuber sites that this is the keyboard to own. They have ones from like GMMK and Keychron. Great keyboards. They're great keyboards, but I'm not about spending a keyboard of $250. Like, they're quiet, right, but they're expensive. That's $250. That's ridiculous for a keyboard. And all I wanted was quiet keys and arrow keys, maybe even wireless. My K70 was not wireless. That one I just picked up and showed you was not wireless. But now Corsair gives you the K65 Plus wireless. It's a 75% mechanical keyboard, and in my opinion, it's absolutely perfect. It's quiet. It has arrow keys. It even has a media knob. Now I have it plugged in because it needed to charge, but I'm going to plug it, put it up right here. This is it. It is phenomenal. It is so unbelievable. Let me see if I can get it in here. I'm going to break something, I'm sure of it. It is so quiet. If I pull up the other keyboard, and this is with double O-rings, that's a big difference in sound.
Yeah.
Big difference. And I love it, love it, love it. The key knob I don't really use, but it is wireless. What really sets this apart is that you can not only replace the keycaps, which the gray ones that you saw on the previous keyboard, I've swapped out the black ones with the backlit, which is why this whole keyboard's blue. I have a very blue theme going on in the studio. But you can also replace the switches free. This is the first keyboard that you can replace the switches on from Corsair. Like the custom $250 ones. You can replace the switches. So if you want a clicky keyboard, you can put it on this keyboard. They pop right out, and you can put whatever versions you want. MX Silence, Reds, anything. Pandas, whatever you want to put in there, you can put in there and just put your different keycaps on there. I've already swapped out, like I said before, I've swapped out my keycaps with the black, with the backlit letters. It's 2.4 gigahertz wireless, as well as Bluetooth and wired. So you have 3 options on the back. So that means it works with just about anything. I mean, literally anything. Your phone, your iPad, your Android device, your PlayStation, your Xbox, your PC. It'll work with anything. And it's a pleasure to type on. It is literally a pleasure. It's quiet. It's soft. And right now, free, this keyboard, from Corsair is $130. Now, that might be expensive for a lot of people. It's a keyboard. If you do a lot of typing on your keyboard,
that's a great deal.
This is the way to go. And even off sale, it's $160, which is still a great deal. Because with the custom keyboards like my youngest son got, you're talking $250 and up, and then you have to wait for them to actually build the keyboard for you. Nowadays, you can order parts, but really you kind of want to have it built. You don't want to sit there and spend another 2 hours when you get it and build it and whatever, if something goes wrong. Let them worry about that. So for between $130 and $160, you're going to get a TKL keyboard, 75%. It's got the arrow keys on it. It's got a media button that you can press to change the settings. You can do your voice. You can do game volume. You can set it for whatever you want in the iQ software. But I don't have a downfall. Like, I really don't have a negative. There's not a lot of products you'll hear me show on the show, whether stick style or BGFG, that I don't find a negative. Like, we waited forever for that that hot swappable controller that we talked about from the BGFG one. And then when I reviewed it, it wouldn't swap the controller the way we wanted it to. And I completely trounced on it, returned it, got my money back. Didn't even show it on the show of me using it because it wasn't worth it. Those are the type of things that we review here on BGFG and on Six Style. I am telling you, this keyboard is worth the money. I've never been more convinced of that. I want to buy another one for the Six Style computer upstairs. Again, that one's got a K70 as well. I want to buy another one, a spare one, just for my other Alienware that I have that has an official Alienware keyboard, which is a great keyboard. Very clicky, good keys, full keyboard with number key, number pad and all. But this one, free. It's...
That's smooth, huh?
I don't have... I wish you lived closer to me so I can literally just put this in your hands. Like, it's heavy. It's not light. It's heavy. But it's small enough, and it's got enough controls on it, and you have the full lid. Like, I changed the keycaps because that's just me. I don't like the gray keycaps on the letters. So I replaced them. But, again, I don't have anything bad to say about this keyboard. Even the battery life is mediocre. Like, if I shut off the backlit, like a lot of times when we're gaming at night, I shut off the backlight. I don't need it. I'll turn it on. It's a little side button on the side. Like, if you look at the keyboard on the side, there's a button right here that turns off the lights. So I'll do that. And as you well know, it conserves battery. I'll do that at night, and then I'll turn it on when I need it. A lot of times if I'm showing off the studio, if somebody's coming by to inspect the studio or see if they want to give us money, which never works out. The fuck is my phone ringing for? Wow. Siri just started a song. If I have somebody coming by here, I'll light it up and keep it lit. It automatically shuts off. Again, I have no problem with this keyboard. Like, I've never felt so strongly. PlayStation 5.
Well, you know who was lead consultant on that design?
Who?
Elon.
No, he wasn't. You're full of shit. You're full of shit. I hate you so much for breaking my stride. Let's get to For What's Worth. See, the problem there is Fremont knows when I'm passionate about something, I really believe in something, I want to push it to everybody, like, constantly. And he just shut me off, which is a brilliant idea, by the way. Just great idea. Because I would have kept going. So, for what it's worth today,
we're about 30 seconds away from him getting naked with that keyboard, so I figured I'd spare y'all.
That's true. We don't have a lot this week, so let's just run through it real quick. First thing is Fremo's buddy Elon is at it again, which I think is funny. He's being a disruptor, and we love that here on the show. Be a disruptor. He's not going out there going, well, we plan on doing like everybody at Microsoft does. He just goes, hey, we announced the Robotaxi is going to be available on August 8th. Or he's going to show it on August 8th.
Yeah.
Now, he said that this could be a great passive income. While you're at work, your car can go and pick up passengers and like do a Lyft type thing and make it around $30,000 a year in additional income, which is also cool. And the way corporate is cutting everyone in their jobs, that's a good thing that you can get a passive income. He did promise these for 2020. Give him props, though. Fremo's buddy Elon did come out and say that he's often not on time with things he says, but he does come through with them. And he's not wrong. He does come through with these things, from SpaceX to anything else. He does come through with them. Everybody scoffed at the truck, especially when the window broke at the demo. But yet there's trucks shipping right now, and there's people that own and are driving around the trucks.
Well, they scoffed at him that he'd be a viable launch option for putting stuff into space.
He is the option. He really is.
And now everybody uses them.
Yeah. Like Tesla cars do have autonomous driving built in, but they're not active. You can pay for it. It's an additional cost, and it's tens of thousands of dollars. But fully autonomous needs driver supervision, and they say that in the fine print. Like, don't just climb into the back seat and have a nap.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be aware of this stuff. And when many automakers, have put their projects on hold or completely abandoned them, like GM just pulled all their super drive cars. Like, they just pulled that shit. They're like, it doesn't work. Tesla is doing it. And we'll see in August how good that's going to be. But he has come through. Now, he promised it in 2020. Here we are in 2024, and he's saying, yep, going to be in August. Have you got any insight? Have you talked to your friend? Uh-oh. This sounds like an NDA. This sounds like an NDA, people.
I've tried to secure a fleet of them so that I could
a fleet
retire early.
Yeah, that'd be good. Well, that'd be good.
But we're having some problems with financing. So
this is NDA. This is all. You know what? I'm going to move on. In sad, you're such a piece of shit. In sad news, the Tropacana Hotel is going to be closing. A mainstay in Vegas, huh?
That's sad. Why?
Because it's the Tropacana, dude. It is Vegas, in my opinion. You can't think about Vegas without thinking about the Tropacana Hotel. No, really?
You say so?
Oh my God! Really?
You don't think it's long overdue?
No, I don't. It's a mainstay. It's like tearing down Lizzie Borden's house.
Yeah, because that's a bad idea.
It's okay. I see your point. It might be a good idea, but it is a good tourist attraction. So more accurately, the Tropicana.
It's just dated, man. It's been there since the 50s. Look at all the other stuff that's gone up around it. It's just time.
Okay, you're somewhat right, but I would like some nostalgia to stay. Like the Tropicana wasn't that bad. It's being demolished and they're going to make way for a baseball stadium. But the hotel
that's the part that doesn't make sense to me because nobody goes to Vegas for baseball.
Well, they're really starting. They got a football team. They want a baseball. Well, I think they already have a baseball team. I know more sports ball.
Do they?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of my point.
I see what you did there. The hotel opened in 1957, and in the early days, it did have close ties to the mafia. I'm not going to lie. In 59, they debuted the topless feathered girls, which has been a mainstay for Gen Xers. I remember being a kid and seeing those feather ladies swooping their hands and going, "Did I see booby?" Like we did when we cruised the cable station and saw the channel that was supposed to be blocked. And we're like, "Did I see a booby?" It's appeared in so many films, Frey. Viva Las Vegas, Godfather, James Bond with Sean Connery, one of their iterations. It's been all there. I am a big fan of nostalgia. I'm a big fan of that. If it's not broke, don't fix it. I know if I went to Vegas and I had options and I saw the prices and I saw that the Tropicana was a lower money, I would definitely pick the Tropicana because, again, it's a classic. It's a mainstay. I'm walking the halls that maybe a mafia boss did, or I'm walking the halls that a old crooner did. Like, that type of thing really intrigues me on any level of the nostalgia and the history of things. But I do see your point. If it's not making money, it's not making money. And I do believe the Tropicana is on the outskirts of Vegas, like Central Vegas. I think it's on the outskirts because it was one of the first ones that was built. And I believe it's on the outskirts. So making a baseball stadium out there kind of makes sense. So I can't disagree, but it does sadden my heart. I
guess they're using the whole build it and they will come philosophy with that one.
I think they are too. But it does sadden my heart. What doesn't sadden my heart is the fact that Amazon lost out yet again. Amazon's about to close their checkout-less grocery stores. Not necessarily the store, but the checkout-less shopping at the Amazon grocery store. So here and there, you're going to see, I think they have 60 in this country, I think. And you have these Amazon stores that are basically like bodegas almost. And you can go in there and you shop. But what's funny is that they have a person-less shopping. So you go in there. Yeah, wait. So you go in there.
I just looked up Vegas's baseball team. It's a minor league.
Oh, that's a great way to drop the Tropicana. Good idea. So what they're seeing is that when you go to these checkouts at Amazon stores, like Fremo said earlier, some of those stores, you have $950 before they actually arrest you. They had a checkout less grocery store where you scan the product. Well, if I scan the product,
you don't even scan it. You just put it in your cart and then bag it and walk it out.
Well, the cart actually has a scanner.
Yeah.
So if the cart didn't catch it, as Fremont and I will tell you as Gen Xers, that's not my problem. I put it in the cart. You said the cart scans it. I made sure I hopefully heard the beep, but I got 3 kids traveling with me and a grandchild, and I put it in there, and I thought it beeped. I don't know if it did or it did not. Again, not my problem. I'm going out. I have no problem paying for my food, and I'm leaving. But let me let you guess why they're doing away with this in the grocery stores.
They're doing away with it because it was extremely labor intensive on the back end.
Oh, it's not just that. There was
wasn't
such
automated.
a loss. They're not
It
even.
wasn't. Yeah, they literally had thousands and thousands of people, and their job was to sit there and follow someone and watch different camera angles and make sure that what was in their cart matched up with what they were getting charged.
700 out of 1,000 transactions required human intervention for accuracy. That's a fucking problem. Yeah. And then the rest of them were just walking out. So how many people caught on to that? Like, hey, the cart's over there. If you put a piece of Vaseline on the scanner on the front and only catch half of your stuff, you just walk out. You know how many times I've seen that happen? You know how many times I've been at Walmart with my wife, purchase something, and the one cashier comes over. It's like, well, I just paid for this, on the cashier-less counter. And now you're stopping me to check my order. Why am I even using this? I could have saved, 20 minutes by just going over to a register that had a person there.
Unless I absolutely have no other choice, I will not check myself out, period.
Correct. Unless I have 1 or 2 items. 1 or 2 items I'm good with. But if I'm doing shopping...
Now, if you want to give me a discount on my total purchase based on the labor costs that I saved you by doing my own checkout and my own bagging, then I would use it.
I've never thought of that. That's a great
but
idea.
Walmart's going the opposite direction with it. They're actually starting something called Walmart Plus or whatever, and you have to pay a monthly subscription fee to use the self-checkout.
Oh, screw that. I will not be doing that. No fucking way. Because 50% of the time I use the self-checkout, I'm getting stopped. Can we see your bag, please? Sure. I don't care. Because you grabbed, so think about it like this, people. Sheeple, listen up. If you're grabbing, 3 or 4 bags of items, they're probably going to stop you and check. If you're going in there like me and Fremo and you're grabbing 2 items just to get through dinner that night or an extra add-on or something, they're probably not going to stop you because it's only 2 items. They see it in the camera. It's not flagging anything. But when you're sitting there and doing a full week's grocery shopping and scanning shit, they're going to stop you because they don't believe it's true. Amazon is a step worse because Amazon store is completely digital anyway, and the people are only there to confirm that you're making those purchases. But the fact of what Fremo said, where in California, you can do $950 worth of theft and not get prosecuted, people aren't going to give a shit. They'll be like, fuck you, and keep walking. Now, what I was going to bring up earlier, which I saved for now, is that a lot of the retail stores are not allowed to stop you anymore.
Yeah.
There was a CEO recently that was on CNBC that was asked, how do you stop these thefts, these people that are walking out with thefts? And they're like, oh, we have our asset protection people that are sitting at the front of the store waiting. No, you don't. You fired them 2 years ago. You don't even understand how your business works. You fired them. There was nobody out front. I have literally watched alerts at my retail facility, retail alerts that are people, this person's hitting every store in our area this today of doing this type of exchange and walking out with the rest of the products. Nobody's stopping them. So when you have these Amazon stores that you can go in there and get, say you're in California in an Amazon store, you can walk into that store and get $400 of groceries and tell the person to F off when they want to try to scan your shit. They're not going to stop you. They're not going to try to stop you. They might see what car you went in. But again, go around the corner, park your car down the street, whatever you want to do. Their cameras don't reach that far, and you're gone. You're gone. It's ridiculous, and they deserve to lose money for that. Because, again, you're taking away jobs from people, and that is the problem that nobody wants to address. Fremont and I will address it, but you're taking away jobs. I have watched my retail company cut labor by 45% in the past 2 years. 45%. That means when you walk into...
I don't often stop at fast food, but just a couple weeks ago, I was just like, it was one of those, like, I need to eat something. I'm fuzzy.
Yeah.
I can't even concentrate. I'm going to go grab something quick to eat. I stop in this place. I walk up to the counter and the guy's like, what? Can I help you? And I'm like, yeah, I was going to place an order. He goes, go use the kiosk back there. And I just said, all right, have a good day, and walked out.
Yeah. There's McDonald's that go.
I wanted to go. I wanted to tell the dude, you realize as they figure out how to get that tray of food over to this counter without you, that you don't have a job anymore.
It's ridiculous, man. It is the dumbing down of America, and I'm tired of it. Like, it pisses off Gen Xers a lot because you learn valuable. Let me put an example like this. Not only is it stuff like that, but let's say something like a board game, right? So if you have Monopoly, people are like, oh, we need a quicker version of Monopoly, or nobody wants to play board games anymore. That's outdated. No, that teaches you the value of money, and it teaches you purchasing, renting. It teaches you a lot of different
patience,
values.
all kinds of stuff.
But yet we have a dumbing down of America. So let's just say you're going to a gathering at a friend's house. There's two games you don't want to see come out that they want to play. Those two games are Trivial Pursuit and Scrabble, because it's going to expose the people that are dumb. It just is.
Right.
I can't spell for shit. I cannot spell for shit. So put me on Scrabble. It's awful.
We're going to start having it. We're going to have to start having a Scrabble.
No, not going to do it. Because my mom, who was a teacher and an English major, in English Lit, I played against her once in Scrabble. Once. I felt so fucking dumb after that. And this is after, high school, secondary education. I felt like an idiot because she was so massively beyond me, and I couldn't spell for shit. So she trounced me, and I felt like an idiot. Guess what? I'm not going to play that game. I'll play Monopoly. I'll play a bunch of other games, but Trivial Pursuit, kind of. But I better have a strong team.
Depends on the version.
Correct.
They've got some versions out there now that are stupid.
I'll do the Star Wars Trivial Pursuit. I'll ace that one. But the normal Trivial Pursuit, I don't know that shit. It's kind of like, hey, are you watching Jeopardy? No, I'm not fucking watching Jeopardy. I don't even know half those answers. I might be able to clear the $200 spot. After that, I'm fucked. Like, I don't know that shit. Like, I don't. And now Mattel has decided that after 75 years, they're going to need to dumb down Scrabble. And they've named it Scrabble Together. Look at the picture on YouTube, or look it up if you're listening to the podcast. It is fucking ridiculous. It's called Scrabble Together, and it adds a second side to the game board. So you basically flip over the Scrabble game board. It is designed for anyone that has felt that word games are too intimidating for you. Guess what? If the word games are too intimidating, find another fucking game. Okay? Somebody's not compromising. Okay? You can play Uno. Uno's super fun. Play Uno.
Right.
Get some strategy. You want to really strategize? Get a single deck of
surprised
cards.
you said Uno.
Why?
Don't y'all? Isn't Skipbo the game of choice up there?
Skippo is a good game. I'm not going to lie. I like Skippo.
I mean, it's essentially the same thing.
It is. Phase 10 is another one from that.
Uno's like, like the southern version of Skippo. I'm surprised you even mentioned it.
I do like that game. I didn't think that anybody else would know Skippo or Phase 10. Phase 10 is an extremely strategic game.
Yeah, it is.
Good stuff. But Mattel said that in their surveys, the game has declined in the recent years. They said 35% of boomers are extremely competitive, followed by millennials at 31% and Gen Z at 29%. Let me just chew on that for a minute. Do you know what generation they fucking forgot again?
The one that nobody wants to play board games against because we own.
Yeah, not only will we own you, but if we don't own you, we're going to beat the shit out of you with that game board.
Literally nobody in the house. They'll be like trying to quietly on the down low play a game, and I'm like, "Hey, we playing?" And they're, no, we're just finishing up.
Right. My house.
They don't want none.
My wife has actually forbade. She's forbidden us from playing Monopoly. We are not allowed to play Monopoly anymore, at all, ever. Doesn't matter if we're snowed in, rained in, power's off. We have one candle. Nope. No Monopoly. It causes family tension forever. But Mattel took it a step farther, and they went on to say that this is geared toward a trend of younger people to be non-competitive. That speaks volumes right there. Volumes.
Well, yeah.
You don't want to be competitive.
You can't have a winner and you can't have a loser, man.
Bullshit.
You can't.
It's bullshit.
And everybody gets a trophy. Come on.
Bullshit.
It's bullshit. It's not even separating people. It's about making you drive to succeed. Even if you come up short, if you're positive when you come up short, like, hey, you didn't win that competition, but you fucking worked your ass off. Next year's going to be you. What did we fail on? Let's work on that. Now it's not even like that. Like, we could go on a whole segment tangent, but let me just finish this topic, because that you're already fucking tweaking me. I'm turning red.
I'll sum it up for you. It's real simple. There's this concept in math called least common denominator.
Yes.
And that's what we've done with our society. We made everything accessible to the least common denominator.
And nobody succeeds.
We dumped everything down. Yeah, we've dumped everything down so that everybody feels like they've accomplished something. And in the process, nothing gets done. Nothing moves forward.
It's awful. It's awful. On a good note,
that's why people like Elon can come in and own.
On a good note, this is only available in the UK right now.
The dude's literally walking around in a ketamine haze and owning it.
He's in that K-hole. On a good note, this is only available in the UK right now because Mattel doesn't hold the rights in the US for Scrabble. So let's hope that doesn't happen. So that's all I have for this week. Do you have anything else this week, Free?
I've got a 3-year-old as of yesterday's birthday party. You want to say hi to
birthday,
Phoenix?
little man.
He can hear you. There's the microphone right there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can absolutely hear you.
Your burp has just been broadcast to the world.
Oh my God, was that a naked kid? I can't broadcast that. Holy shit, I have to edit the show.
You might have just gotten flashed.
I don't even know if that was like, it was blurred on your screen. Oh my gosh, I gotta kind of look that up. I might have to edit that. Holy shit. That was a naked kid. Oh, that's great. All right, that's it for this week. Test down, show's over.
Hey, don't flush the toilet.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.